So welcome to SeavorChartered Business Podcast. Today we're going to go over a challenge that a lot of businesses face, which is as they grow, making sure they've got a finance function and the right people looking after their financial side of the business. We're also going to go over one of our services that potentially helps businesses when they find themselves in that position. And that's our outsourced finance function service. So today we've got with us Lisa, who's our accounts manager, and Emily, who's our senior management accountant. So firstly then, Lisa, would you like to kind of explain what an outsourced finance function is?
Yeah, so most people know that accountants provide year-end account services, tax return services, but what they maybe don't realise is that we also provide services of more day-to-day finance function for businesses. And what that can mean is from raising sales invoices to processing purchases, reconciling banks, providing management reporting, and this can be on a weekly basis, a monthly basis.
So almost like, I suppose, where a traditional view of an accountant might be providing more of an external service where it's, statutory accounts, compliance, advising people what the tax is or tax planning opportunities. I suppose an outside finance function, it's almost potentially replacing what you would expect the roles of an accountant to be within the business and what they're doing almost day to day.
That's it, yeah.
So I suppose in amongst that, Emily, do you want to give us a kind of an overview of why businesses might consider using an outsourced finance function? Because, maybe they struggle to have a finance team of their own.
Yeah, because finding the right member can be quite hard.
Yeah.
Because it's costly. It takes a while to find the right person.
Yeah.
Then people have got to consider there's also the salary, the employer's pension.
Yeah.
And then what if that person goes on long-term sick or
maternity
leave?
Then all of a sudden, if literally your business has got, I suppose, one finance professional in there, even if they're just on holiday for 2 weeks, you've got a hole, haven't you, there that's got to be filled. And I suppose a potential benefit of an outsourced finance function is that role's covered all year round, isn't it? 52 weeks of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think as well about, I suppose, recruiting a finance individual? If there was a business where, they're of a certain size, they've thought, now, well, actually, we're getting to the size where we could do with someone internally. What do you think? Do you think it's easy to hire a finance person of the right ability or not? What's your thoughts?
I think the right person is hard to find because there's not many of them.
Yeah.
Management accountants, there's not many people that do management accounts.
Yeah.
Like we said before, a lot of people do the standard accounts and tax returns.
Yeah.
They don't do the monthly reporting.
Yeah. And I suppose it's at what level as well and what experience that what that accountant might have, because if you have an outsourced finance function, you I suppose you potentially get access to people at different levels, whether it's a finance director level, somebody who's doing the bookkeeping, or if you hire somebody, finding somebody that can cover all those roles.
Yeah.
I suppose that's going to be challenging. But as well, that could mean actually paying someone with, a finance director's level of experience to almost do potentially tasks that could be done by somebody who's almost just starting in the role or with 1 or 2 years experience, which might not be as efficient as it could be.
Definitely not as efficient. You're paying somebody potentially quite a good salary for the level that they are, how qualified they are, to spend 3 hours posting purchase invoices, whereas our team, we've got everybody at the right level with the right qualifications and the right expertise who can apply at the right time.
Yeah. And I suppose, again, it comes back to that if one of the team who looks after a client, as part of their outsourced finance function is off, then there's going to be someone else to cover it. Whereas if you've hired your own, that wouldn't necessarily be the position. And then I suppose it would fall back on the business owner to resolve that or just try and struggle on without it.
Yeah, an example we had was if someone goes on maternity, which is 9 months, it's not just a week's holiday that someone's going to be away for. It could potentially 9 or 12 months. What do you do at that point? Do you try and hire somebody else? But we know how hard it is to hire somebody in the first place. So it's you kind of you're solving that. Yeah,
you're solving that sort of the problem that you could have in your business.
Yeah.
And I suppose if we as well, this one for you, Emily, if we're thinking about the kind of technology stack, or how do we kind of go about providing that service to businesses, or what do we recommend?
We've done our research. We've tried and tested different softwares, and the ones that we work best with are Dext, where you upload your invoice to Dext.
Yeah.
That then gets put through to our software we use called Xero.
Yeah.
We can do auto publishing, so there's nothing involved in that. From Xero, we can then pull the reports together, the management reports, the profit and loss, the balance sheet,
Yeah.
your debtors, your creditors. You can have a look at all the financial position, and if need be, you can pull a cash flow together from those figures.
Yeah.
To project going forward rather than looking back.
Yeah. And I suppose it's cloud-based as well, isn't it? So, ultimately we can be in our office, almost bring up on screen the figures that relates to a business that's working in London, for example, couldn't we? And I suppose as long as they have some sort of admin resource within their business to make sure that they're uploading invoices or forwarding the right paperwork on if we need it, almost that business could be anywhere. And, the business owner could be anywhere while we're discussing kind of the performance of the business and what's going on and things like that.
Yeah.
So I suppose as well, another benefit from my point of view of using, for example, an outsourced finance fees, we understand the processes that are standard or that are efficient, and we can help businesses implement them, even if it's a short-term solution for the person maybe that they're looking to hire in the future. So that's one thing I would point out about it. Lisa, for you, what do we think as well then? Is this for just a small business, or is it for a big business? Or what sort of businesses do you think would actually benefit from it?
I think any size. So it can be a small business where the business owner has previously done those tasks. They've processed the finance side of the business, but they're growing and they no longer have the time to do that. So it could be useful for them. It could be a large business who have struggled to recruit, as we've discussed. Or they've had somebody in place, a bookkeeper or a finance director before, and there's suddenly they've left for whatever reason. It would be useful for them as well. So I think it's just any size.
And any size, I suppose, as well. If you were hiring a finance department, I suppose it's like anything. As your business grows, you maybe then have to recruit somebody else, and then as the business grows again, maybe now you need to hire somebody else. But then if it reduces in size, what do you do with these finance people that you've got? Do you still need them all? Do you need to consider redundancies? Whereas I suppose if it's outsourced, it's almost scalable based on what your needs are at any one point.
And that's it. And then at one point, it kind of becomes our problem at that point. It doesn't become the business owner's problem. It just takes away that stress and that problem for them.
So, it's scalable then.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
If you could be a business owner then that literally you've been doing the kind of bookkeeping, the financial side yourself, keeping a handle on it. As you get busier, all of a sudden that gets pushed to maybe become a weekend or an evening job. And then all of a sudden now you're thinking, I can't even keep up with it. Now it's that sort of side of things. I need to hire somebody. And then the decision is, do I hire somebody internally, or would this sort of service meet your needs? And if it does, actually it becomes scalable right from that point up until whatever the size of your business or your team is. Yeah.
And I think that's what we do see a lot, isn't it? It's kind of comes to the point where business owners are like, I've been doing this for however long they've been doing it for. And they say they're doing it on a weekend or on an evening. They just think, I need extra support here. Or they're not doing it because they haven't got the time. And then all of a sudden they're trying to make decisions, but they don't have the financial information to make those decisions.
Yeah. What do you think, Emily? Is there even like an industry that this best's for, or could it cover any sort of industry?
I think it could suit any industry.
Yeah.
Me personally, I've dealt with hospitality, manufacturing, estate agents.
Yeah. Construction as well. I suppose I would agree. I think it can cover any industry. It's almost what pressures on the business owner and the business, and the decision is, for the long term, do I want to recruit a finance team that gives me this benefit, or actually, with all the potential challenges that involves, would an outsource solution actually meet my needs? And what benefits does that have, and what cons does that have, and weighing up kind of, I suppose, what's the right decision for them. I suppose when we say, we've talked a bit about outsourced finance function, but let's get a bit more into the detail of actually exactly what sort of services that could include. And maybe Lisa, you can almost have a look at this one. So let's say if I was throwing their sales invoices, maybe the business owner could still carry on doing that bit, or a team member at the business could be raising the sales invoices, or even if maybe they had third-party software, they could use that still, but we could pull that and put that into the system. Do you want to almost talk it through us for like sales to purchases to bank to credit control? How do those things sort of work?
Yeah. So like you said about the sales, that kind of covered the sales side of it. But then at that point, they can be on the system, but then we could pick up the credit control.
Yeah.
So we're then monitoring when them invoices are due for payment.
Yeah.
And we can be contacting the customers for the
on
payment.
their behalf if they're comfortable with us to do that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or
yeah.
even just advising them at, structured
what's-
points.
what's
You know,
outstanding.
what they should be chasing them. Yeah.
Yeah. Then to the purchase invoicing, again, it would be uploaded to Dext. Generally, that's how we would do it, or to a central email, accounts that email address. If you can get all invoices from your suppliers sent to there, then we would have access to that as well. We would then upload them to Dext, then into the accounting software. At that point, we would reconcile the bank.
Yeah.
So we then know what's been paid, what's not been paid. Then we can look at the purchases, and then on a monthly basis or twice a month, we could do a payment run, which basically details what's due for payment.
Yeah, and I suppose as part of that, then we're aiming to help the client also manage their cash flow. And it's amazing, isn't it, how many businesses that we deal with, and all they're paying suppliers just ad hoc, basically. Who shouts gets paid, or they get an invoice, they pay it immediately. Whereas I suppose if we're saying why are we doing that 31 times a month, you could literally pay suppliers twice a month, and then it's structured. Then we've got a proper approval process in there. We're making sure that we're not paying the same invoice twice. So I suppose it's almost putting standardised processes in place there as well for customers and clients as well, isn't it?
Again, that we've worked on building those processes.
Yeah.
However, we do also work closely with the business owner and decide what is best for them as well.
Yeah.
But then once all the information is on the system, what we can then do with that information is we can pull management accounts, so we can provide information on the profitability, the gross profits. We can monitor things like that.
Yeah, key margins.
Yeah,
and
Key
things,
margins, the KPIs. Because we've got the information's all up to date, we can provide better advice and let the business owners know how the business is doing.
Yeah, I suppose one thing I see there, so we end up where we've got all the information in a system that's nice and accurate, and it's been low touch from the business owner, or that has been taken over, let's say, by our service. And I suppose a lot of business owners, we would prepare monthly management accounts for them so they could see that information. And some clients will say, well, I don't really understand it without somebody, a professional, going through it with them. Well, we can do that as well. But also because it's going to be in a consistent format that works for them, they are going to get used to seeing that performance information regularly the same way, so they will get to understand it. And then they don't have to look necessarily at every number on there, but they're going to know which key numbers mean what they mean for them. And I suppose, is that helping them reach their ultimate goal in what they're trying to achieve within the business? So we're not just looking a month in advance. We're maybe thinking, what are we aiming for this year? What's the goal at the end of the 5 years that we work together? It's that sort of thing.
Well,
almost looking at it a bit more.
That's it. I think as well, it's almost looking forward as well. When we've got the information and they're wanting to look forward, we can produce budgets, forecasts, cash flows.
Yeah.
Because we've got that up-to-date information, we can provide that for planning and for growth.
Yeah.
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 That's it. When it's up to date, it's a lot easier to make these decisions, isn't it? It's not a rash decision. There's thought process into the thinking.
Like, I suppose clients, they'll look at this and they will have pain points, and what is the sort of feedback off of the clients who almost take on this other sort of service, and what are the reasons why they kind of look to do it anyway? Have you got any sort of view on that, Emily, of why clients have looked to move on to this service, and have they been pleased they have, or have they been, that was harder than I thought it would be, or what's kind of your comments on that?
Yeah, the feedback I've got is really positive. It's like a weight off their shoulders.
Yeah.
They're getting more time with the family on a weekend, for example, because they're not sat putting invoices on. They're not sat paying suppliers. They're not sat reconciling the bank, because that's all taken care of by us.
Yeah. And I suppose as well, like the feedback I've got from clients, it's almost that reassurance that actually, I'm really busy, but now I know that's getting done correctly. And when I need something, it's there and it's available. For example, I'm looking to get a loan. Historically, I'd have had to send all the stuff here, and it would have taken weeks to get it organised, where now I know that's going to be up to date. I know we're going to have the information to give to a potential lender or whatever to make the decision I need to make. Or I'm working really hard, I'm really busy. Am I making the profit that reflects how hard I'm working? They're going to have that information. They're not going to wait 12 months or 6 months' time and think, wow, I've been working really hard. I didn't realise I'm not making anything.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they've got the opportunity to change it because they're going to have that information sooner, and they can make the decision sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was to, what I would like to do now is just almost ask you, is there a key takeaway that you think, you could say from this service, or one thing, if somebody was watching this podcast now, what they should take away from it as a business owner. Lisa, do you have kind of your key takeaway?
I think mine is that it's not just for large businesses. I think it's for any size business.
Yeah.
I think if you're growing or if you're just starting out and you're looking for that finance solution, or you're starting to look for a finance team, do consider outsourced finance function.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think people would say, oh, that service could be expensive. It's only for big businesses. But you've got to compare that to how much it costs to recruit a finance professional at whatever level. And then also, what is their salary per year? And have you actually got enough work to cover a full-time finance person? And if you think, well, actually, no, we only need a part-time finance person, and we're lucky enough to hire and find a part-time one, well, if they're working Monday to Wednesday, what do we do on Thursday and Friday for supplier calls? Or an employee wants to know something, or all of a sudden you've got a decision to make and you want to know how profitable it is. What do you do on the days that person isn't available? And that's the sort of benefits where a finance function actually could provide. Yep. What about yourself, Emily? What would your kind of takeaway be?
I think mine would be that we pride ourselves on that we've got all areas of expertise, whether it's payroll expertise, chartered accountants, management accountants. We can help in all departments. Yeah.
And I would agree with that as well. So when you hire a finance person, you're relying on just that knowledge of that one person. And, a finance person can mean different things to different people. But generally, an accountant who's maybe good at management accounts or providing advisory, they're not necessarily experienced at running a payroll, or they're not necessarily even now experienced at doing the bookkeeping and making sure that's done efficiently because their skills and experience took them elsewhere. So I suppose, again, it's that almost covering all bases that you needed to if you were to consider outsourcing.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much for watching our podcast today about outsourced finance function. And if you've got any questions about that or what could help your business, please don't hesitate to get in touch with myself, Emily or Lisa, and we could go through that with you. And I suppose, what I would say is I think it's certainly scalable with businesses. It uses proven processes. We're using market-leading technology to do it in terms of Xero and Dext. And I think it can really help a lot of businesses if they've got recruitment challenges in sorting or resolving their finance function.